most, the first night of 10A, first show we had was the ring ropes breaking, which in our match, we're definitely going to use the top rope. And now we're thinking we're not going to use the ring. We can't even hit the ropes at all, hardly, because they broke in the match before us. That was in the dark match. But Ron and Don Harris somehow made magic happen, a miracle. We were all praying, I always say that I didn't know some people even knew how to pray, but they were praying that night, that everything would work. And right before we went out, luckily the Legends went in before us. They were actually scheduled to go in after the match that I was supposed to be in, but we scheduled them right before it so we could get the ring fixed, and then we went out there, and really it was an awesome opener.
We had two dark matches. A guy named Cheeks weighed about 450, and he hit the ropes and snapped the cable underneath. The ring that was constructed was a WCW ring, and it wasn't in horrible shape, but it wasn't in great shape either. But it snapped the cable, and I've been around wrestling rings all my life, and I know they can be fixed quickly if you know what you're doing. So the ring crew tackled it, got out there, and they didn't have a plan because it wasn't really a cable that was sheared, it snapped. So they had to put two different devices on, and well, when they cut that, obviously when they cut it, the length of the cable shortened considerably, so it wasn't quite able to snap, and they had a device to hook it together. So Ronnie and Donnie were out there, and I'm behind the curtain, and I'm looking through the curtain, what's going on. And a guy named Jim Wakefield, that I just mentioned, he does a little bit of everything in production, and some consider him a genius at what he does, but he came up with a plan. He had nothing to do with the ring crew, but he saw it and looked at it. It took him a couple of minutes, and as he goes to formulate that, Ronnie and Donnie, what they had to do is they had to push the two corners, the bottom post, back under to give it some slack so they could initially make the hook. Well, they had several guys out there trying, and Ronnie and Donnie virtually came to the rescue and got their big 6-7 asses up under that ring, and they pushed certain cables and posts, and you can still see it on the video today that the pyro's going off and Ronnie and Donnie are exiting ringside. So it was literally, I don't want to say minutes, it was seconds that they got the ring fixed, because we were backstage reformulating the formats. We're going to do an interview segment where they continue working on the ring. A lot was going on, but I'll give the old man credit, myself credit. Keith Mitchell in the truck. When we started, we had years and years and years of experience in television production on our staff. Jim Wakefield has years and years of experience in live events. Ronnie and Donnie. There was a lot of us that have been around and had to perform under pressure and improvise and really do what it takes to get the job done. You don't worry about, that doesn't fall under my job description. That's one of my pet peeves. Everything falls under your job description. You just always tip your hat to the guy who's got more experience. It drives me crazy that somebody doesn't do that. But everybody just got the job done, and the show went on.
After the first show, there was a lot of hugs, a lot of emotion, a lot of people that just, here's something we'd worked so hard for, against all odds, we managed to, put a show together. And it showed people that we were able to do it, and that it came off without any major glitches. The ring was a problem, we dealt with it. And really that ring situation kind of sums up what we've been about from day one. When something happens and things go wrong, we don't panic, we find a way to address it, and we move on. And that's, the way we felt at the end of the show. We had held our breath through the entire evening to see if we were going to make it without the ring breaking again. If we had people on standby to rush to the ring and try to fix it again. But, we were really worried that night that maybe, we wouldn't quite make it, because there was a lot of stuff, especially the second show, we had the X Division match, a lot of, high-impact stuff happened. The ring took a pounding and it held up. And afterwards, we just, took a big, deep breath and said, okay, now we got to get to work on the next one. Next one's a couple of weeks from now. We need to start working on that.
Year one pay-per-view moment.
Maybe this is a preview.
Screw you today and screw
I deserve one. Screw the Titans. I'm a winner. I'm a damn winner, my check.
Tennessee
Yeah,
Titans
you
right
know
there.
it. They had their shot at the Super Bowl, and they blew it. When I get my...
What is this?
Jared fighting him up. He's calling for his teammates. Now look at this.
Jared has got to be out of his mind going after these guys.
Look at this. It is pounding by Jared. Oh my God. No.
Jared is out.
What is happening? Malice and Jared.
Will TNA last?
Yeah, a lot of people thought we were crazy. We had an idea that people thought wouldn't work, and people predicted we'd be out of business in 5 or 6 weeks. Almost worked. But we met those obstacles, we overcame them. Friends and family reaction, you're crazy to leave behind a successful travel business, uproot yourself, move to Nashville with just a dream. It was really a tough year, to really get going and get up and running, and the sacrifices that everybody made. And, everybody in the company made sacrifices. And, there were times when, we didn't know if we'd be around a week from now. It was because of everybody refusing to give up and finding a way to make things happen that we survived.
Outside of my wife, everyone to a T doubted me. They didn't tell me, but they didn't have to tell me. I'd look somebody in the eye. Anybody can look somebody in the eye, and you know whether you got confidence or not. Outside of Jill, everyone, and they're lying if they say they didn't doubt me. But I knew going in. I knew from day one. I knew before day one. I knew it was a gigantic risk, but I always believe and live by sort of what my internal mottos are. Without great risk, there is no great reward. The quote that Roosevelt about it's not the critic that counts; it's the guy who's in the arena getting their face dirty. And you will never know if you win or lose. You'll never know if you can't hit that grand slam if you don't get up to bat. And that's how I live. I'm very passionate about what I do. When I want to do something, I'm going to have to be told more than 100,000 times that you can't do that before I believe it. Because if I set my mind to something, I'm going to do it. And I know that I'm going to outwork people. I'm going to outthink people, and I'm going to make sure that my desire is to its fullest capacity, or I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to step up to the plate because it's a waste of my time and a waste of others' time. So, to say the least, that I had doubters, outside of Jill, I don't know of anyone who didn't doubt me.
Well, after the first few weeks, I certainly had optimism, especially when it came to the talent in-ring side. No question about it. I could see that the X division was really shaping up to be something special. We had some established names in the heavyweight division. Tag team division in the early stages was certainly in the growing stages. But I could see that there was sufficient in-ring talent to make it work. I guess my question at that point was whether the office and the backup that we had was going to be up to the same standards as the in-ring talent.
Did I think the company would last? I think maybe you can call it me being stubborn or me being naive, but I never gave one thought to the company not being around or not surviving. There were a lot of bumps in the road, and it seemed like a continual, low blow, one after another that first year of TNA Wrestling, but I think if anything it made us stronger. And I'll never forget one time, I think when we were at our toughest spot, right around July, I remember Jerry Jarrett looking around at all of us, and we're all just going, this is it. And he gave us a little pep talk. He said, this is a company built with good people, and we're going to make it work. And after that point, I thought, all right, if he's believing it, I'm believing it. I'm on board with this. And never really did ever think it was going to go out of business or have any problems.